Your rifle tells a story. The story is only as good as the time you put into crafting it. The rifle is an extension of you, a component of a recipe whose success depends on your discipline and input. The time we spend dialing in our rifles, printing them, confirming, and learning is time spent mastering our craft. Time spent learning about who you are. Through the trials, tests, and confirmations, we learn about execution. We learn about discipline. We control our breath, our posture, our placement, and our minds. We remove the distraction and focus on the simple task at hand, telling the story. Each round a marker through paper, declaring our discipline, stating proof. Each break of the sear, each rotation of the bolt, and each empty case represents our commitment to ourselves, our God, our families, and our values. Our rifle tells us a story. What does yours say about you? At some point it's happened to you as well. You assumed that you had a zeroed rifle. You assumed that you understood where your rounds were going to land, but as you broke that shot, you missed. Or maybe you hit the wrong target entirely. Or maybe you just simply realized that setting and confirming your zero on your rifle is not something that you rush through. The outcome of your zero is entirely dependent on your input while you learn your rifle's story. And I've been in that state before as well. I showed up to classes proud of the fact that I had a zeroed rifle, only to find out that I lacked discipline, and ultimately I didn't understand my rifle's story well enough. I recently spent time with Jared Seagraves, Director of Training for Haley Strategic, at a course in Ohio. It was a D5 carbine course, and I wanted to share some of the wisdom from the class that day. Jared taught me this concept that wasn't entirely unfamiliar to me, but I'd never seen it laid out the way that he laid it out in the class. He called it telling our story, or telling our rifle's story. I'm sure from the target beside me and the B-roll in the beginning, many of you already know where I'm going with this, but to summarize this concept from the class, this is a concept that takes you and your rifle, and you print your rifle's performance and zero on a paper target before each range day. It forces you to become one with your rifle, to focus on mastery and to put theory to paper. From close distances all the way out to 200 yards, you engage in a cycle with your rifle. It forces you to understand your performance, your holdovers or hold unders depending on your zero. It's great to take ballistic theory from a calculator into your mind, but this is the moment where you put that theory to the test. You then have a paper with proof of the data, the story. Data that can make you more effective with your firearm in a time of need. And you learn a lot about yourself in the process of this disciplined execution of this story. I've always been a prove-it kind of guy. Theories are cool, but understanding truly how something reacts in the real world is of more value to me often than an opinion. I've never had a belief that there's just one golden zero. Rather, I believed that you should chronograph your load, calculate, set zero, then confirm at all the distances where you would typically engage targets. Then after that, you do it again with a different zero if need be. You dial in where you want your rifle to be. Remember, the rifle only does what you tell it to do. As you squeeze the shot off, you are telling it something. Are you building a good foundation? Are you stable on your platform? Can you call your impact as the shot is going off? All are skills and disciplines requiring mastery. Many people land on 50-yard zeros for their rifles, and they allow stories of other rifles to dictate the story of their own. Rather than become a part of their own rifle's story, spending the time to perfect it, assumptions are made. Groups that are 1/4 inch to the left at 50 are considered zero. Only your story at 200 is going to tell a very different tale. Here's what I'm trying to get at. And I'm building off of my previous video that I titled, "It's Not the Gun." There's an abundance of bravado around fighting a civil war or being capable of saving the day, wanting to be this protector. But I've got a simple question. What is the story of you and your rifle? If you can't answer that, I want to ask how you're going to be able to do any of the things that you claim you want to be able to do. Understand this, that this is not a stab at you. I'm trying to wake you up and show you a different way that was taught to me. What if instead of all the crazy drills as a new shooter, you learned proper foundation? You focused on building that stable platform to zero. You then confirmed the zero and read the story of your rifle each and every single range day. You executed discipline and made every single round count. What sort of impact could you expect from disciplined range days that sound a lot like that? I'm gonna make an argument that the vast majority of individuals who own fighting rifles like this right now do not understand the story of their rifle. They may assume that their rifle's zeroed, but have they tested that theory in the conditions that they may find themselves in? If we are to be protectors of life, of our fellow man or families, we should demand that we exhibit discipline in our training and in our equipment. Buying the gun is easy. Having armor and cool gadgets and tons of ammo really only requires you to have a credit card. The mastery of this skill requires a transformation of your mind and a new vision for your shooting journey. I want you to commit to that today. Start every range day off zeroing at these distances. Go prone and put 5 rounds on paper. Dial in that zero. Do not skimp. Read the paper and adjust until you are truly zeroed. Then go to 100. Then go to 200 and do the same thing until you have the story of your rifle. As you come down range, you'll be met with data. This might be the first time you see it, but as you become disciplined and you start mastering this, you are going to start to be able to read the data as the shot happens. You get to analyze the hits. Where did the rounds land at 50 yards? Were they landing at a different place at 100? What about 200 yards? What is the story telling you about your zero? What is this story telling you about yourself? And I want to take a second, guys, and just talk about that real quick on my own target here and analyze my own story and teach you guys a little bit of what I learned from that Haley strategic class, because we don't pay enough attention to this. Now, as you guys saw from the B-roll, I shot at 50 yards, 100, and 200. What you can see here is my 50-yard group is right down here. I was aiming at the TA logo. It's an old school TA logo, but that's where I was aiming. This is not a proper 50-yard zero. A lot of people would say, hey, I'm at 50 and my shots are touching, and that's awesome. But the reality is I needed to actually go up another inch. And because of that, you can see my 100-yard rounds are landing dead center. So what I actually had was a 100-yard zero. What I expected to see from my story on my rifle was the 50-yard rounds landing dead center, my 100s hitting a little high, and my 200s coming in a little bit below the 50. But because my story of my rifle told me and is showing me that these rounds are lower, it's not a true 50-yard zero, my 200-yard rounds landed way low. And this is an easy fix. We can go back, I could do it again. I could adjust my optic up a little bit at 50 and truly get the zero that I desired. But maybe your story looks like this and this is exactly what you want. The key that I'm trying to hammer home here is you have to see the story of your rifle and then ultimately be able to make a decision as to whether or not what you see on paper is what you desire on the output of that paper and what it's telling you. We make the mistake to assume that the lessons learned are simply on this paper target. The lessons that I've learned from this exercise are truthfully in my heart and my mind. I analyze who I am and why I do what I do. I find my vision and purpose. I slow down, I watch, and I interpret. I've learned to call my shots better and better. I know it sounds weird, but learning the story of your rifle does help you to become a better version of yourself. Because remember, it's not about the gun, it's about the reason that you own it and the people that you protect with it that drives you to train and master this platform. Just wanted to say thank you to the entire Haley strategic team for what you guys do for the D5 carbine class and inviting me out to spend some time with you. Thank you, Jared and Liam, for the instruction. I walked away learning so much from you guys. Truly appreciate it. And for Travis, for speaking at the classroom, showing up on the range, and for your wisdom and for what you're doing with Haley Strategic. I think what you guys are doing is really fantastic, really cool. I'm honored to be able to call you guys friends. I'm excited to see what you guys do. I'm also excited to see how we work together in the future. Thank you guys all for the hospitality and for helping me to become better.